Hello, this is Cooking with Mrs. Ng and we are making breakfast egg burritos. I'm gonna make this for you guys and I wanted to show you the ingredients before I move some of them out of the way. I chose to have whole wheat tortillas. I also picked up these the other day, which I thought my husband and sons would like. It's wheat tortillas with chili pepper, so they like a little spice. I do not, and my daughter does not, but my boys and husband do. So I put that to the side. I also have the spinach, eggs, cheese, salt and pepper, as well as onions. I have my coconut oil out just because it is great for sauteing. It can withstand the heat, and I'm going to grease my pan with that and do a little sauteing with that. So I have all my ingredients out, pretty simple. What's awesome about this is I can actually make them ahead of time and put them in the freezer. So when we don't have as much time to cook, that is really helpful. So I have my ingredients. The recipe that you all have yields one per person. So it's really for one person, but you can double it like I'm going to do, or you can multiply and use your math skills to figure out how much you need for the recipe if you choose to make it for a group. I'm gonna make it for 2 people today. So instead of having 1.5 eggs, I am going to use 3 eggs. Also, doing a half an egg doesn't really make sense. So if we were in a lab setting, I would say go ahead and work with a partner and mix it, somebody in your team, your lab group, and go ahead and do 3 eggs, and then you would just make the eggs together. Okay, so we're taking off that peel. Of course, I'm doing it in a way that doesn't help with the tearing up, because I'll tell you a trick in a second. I always have a bag handy because then I can tie it up and throw it out in my garage to take out to the trash can, because it really does stink. All right, so I just took that off the peel. I have my chef knife, I have my cutting board. I like to have a cutting board separate, one for cooking and one for like onions and garlic, and one for my fruits and other items that don't really have that taste. So I'm gonna hold it like this. Now, if you would like to try to reduce the crying, the tears, then you can just cut that bottom part off and try to leave that stem on. I'm not sure I don't typically do that, so I'm gonna kind of try to do it a little bit, but that is what has been said to reduce the tearing. I just kind of move my head back. I really don't have a problem with it, but that's probably because I've been cooking for so long. The key to this is to make sure you do not touch your eyes with it. Yeah, like if you are using, doing something with a hot pepper, cooking something with a spice like that, you do not want to, I'm just gonna do it I'm showing you real cooking. Like, I'm just do it this way. I know there's probably a better way to do it, but that's what I do. So, what was I saying? Okay. So, the tearing and stuff. Some people say to put a bread in their mouth. There's lots of different ways to do it, but I always have done it this way, and it works fine. Now, cutting an onion is a good idea if you go like that to each of them, and then we go ahead and cut. It's an easier way to dice it if we're going to dice our onions. Now, obviously, you can choose to not dice if you would like to, and you can just do slices. So I went that way and I turned it, and then we go like this, and it ends up and you can curl your knuckles in. It ends up resulting in smaller pieces because we made that little slit at the top. Now, don't rub your knife on the cutting board, just use the back of it. I always try to hold it, and then if it falls apart, that's okay. Just turn it. Now, obviously, you guys as beginners you would choose to need to talk to your parents about using a knife in the kitchen, and you might not feel comfortable with a knife like this, a chef knife, so you could use a smaller knife, like a paring knife. Okay, now I'm starting to feel some of the onion tear producing. Okay, and there's one more. So this is probably more onions than I need. I did 2, and that's really because I'm gonna end up making extra. When I work in the kitchen, I just go ahead and make extra because I don't always have time to make breakfast. I eat breakfast every day, but sometimes it's just like a boiled egg. But if I'm gonna take the trouble to do this, I'm gonna go ahead and cook some to freeze even or put in the refrigerator, because that way I have it ready to go on a morning I'm teaching. Okay, so now my next directions actually say, it doesn't say to grease, it says to crack the egg. So I have my onion. I like to have everything kind of ready. So I have my onions. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my bowl. So when you do everything ahead of time, like you have your onions cut and your spinach cut and your items, then that's really referred to as Nisan, having everything in its place. That's that French term we talked about. So look at all that spinach I'm going to use, and you're going to see that the spinach is going to actually reduce in size. Put the onions to the side. Very thankful to have my kitchen to be able to do all this, but it does have a smaller surface recording area, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of grabbing the spinach. I'm not even going to take off the stems. I'm just going to cut the spinach. Now remember, spinach is high in vitamins and minerals as well as fiber from our nutrition unit. Now, you can do more or less, like I said, but having it ready ahead of time is awesome. Then it's kind of good to go. So I am not going to use all of this onions and the onions and spinach right away, but it's ready to go, which is nice. Okay, so now the recipe says to go ahead and crack my eggs. I'll put this in the back, and then we will crack our eggs. I'm going to use the same bag that I have here for the eggshells. So if we were in a lab setting, I would saute my onions and spinach as a group. See how I got the shell in there? So it is a nice idea, like I taught you guys before with measuring, to go ahead and just do every egg individually, because it does make it easier to get the shell out. I can see the shell no problem, but let's do it the way I've taught you. So I do the egg in there, which will be a lot easier to get it out if I messed up. Okay, so there's 3 eggs right there. Let's get some of this out of the way. Okay, it's always a good idea to have some water handy. So I used to use milk, and then I learned that it's better to add water to make the eggs fluffier. So I just am gonna put a little bit of water in there. I like my fresh pepper. You can really do it to taste. This is my Himalayan salt, but you can use any salt. I'm not measuring, I'm just sprinkling. The nice thing is, if you can always add more items as you see fit. Sometimes my own children like tomatoes, and they like tomatoes and mint in it. And that might seem weird to you guys, but it's tasty. So if that's something that you guys would want to add, then you can add that. This is actually what I do. I should show you. This is dried mint because I have a plant outside, and I dry it in my sunroom, and then I keep my old container of mint leaves. It happens to be empty, and then I take my mint leaves and I actually just put them in. You could crush them ahead of time if you want, but I put them in my jar, so when I'm ready to use them, they're all ready to go. But that's great for basil or for any plants you have outside, herbs that you want to use in the winter. You can also do an ice cube trick, but that's for another time. All right, so now we have our eggs mixed. It says crack the eggs, we did it. Dash of salt and pepper. Now it says to saute the onions and the peppers. I didn't do peppers. I don't love cooked peppers. So I did not do that. I'm gonna use a spoon to kind of chunk up some of this coconut oil. Okay, and then I'll just use this, that's fine. Okay, whenever we're cooking, we wanna make sure to do it on medium heat. That's also better for our sauteing for our skillets. It doesn't ruin our skillet. So that's on medium. Now, of course, like I said, you could do 6 eggs. You could do whatever you want. Actually, because I have so much pepper, I'll do it next. I probably should have added more eggs because I'm gonna make a bunch. But for now, we'll just stick with the 3 eggs. All right, so when that melts, I'm gonna go ahead and put the eggs in there. The peppers and spinach in there, and then when that is sauteed, I am going to add it to my egg mixture. Super easy, but hopefully you guys would make these ahead of time, and then when you get up in the morning, you'll be able to have it ready and something good and healthy to eat. So if you remember our nutrition unit, eggs have the protein, they also have fat in it, and along with cholesterol and other vitamins and minerals. The spinach has nutrients as well as fiber, and then the cheese is actually a dairy product, so it has calcium and vitamin D. So overall, it's a pretty healthy item. I'm gonna go ahead and just put all of it in, because that way I cook it all, even if I don't choose to put it in my other one. All right, I'm just gonna show you real quick, and then we'll come back. But now we're just gonna let that cook. And then that's gonna become translucent. When it becomes translucent, that's when it becomes a little bit like see-through. I think you can see that better. See-through. So I'm gonna just let that saute. If you find you need more oil, you can add more oil. If you don't have coconut oil, you can use canola or vegetable oil. And then when that becomes translucent, meaning the onions are see-through, I'm gonna add my spinach, and you'll see that it's gonna really shrink down. So I'm gonna let that cook, and I will be back. Okay, so now the onions are translucent. You can see that they're see-through. And now I'm just gonna add my spinach. Now you'll see as I do it how much the spinach shrinks. It goes down, so you can always add more. I just cook it for maybe a minute. I don't cook it too much because I don't mind raw spinach in my eggs. But you can always add more. I like to sprinkle salt in it. I don't really measure when I'm cooking. I measure when I'm baking. So I would say less than a teaspoon. Just a few sprinkles. All right, it's already smelling great. Now, obviously, if you do tomatoes, you do not need to cook those ahead of time. Tomatoes, peppers, you would. But really, whatever you want to put in it is great. The onions just give it a great taste. If you like onions, anytime you cook, if you add onions and garlic, that's the key. I wouldn't do garlic and eggs, though. Okay, so I think that looks perfect at that point, so I'm going to turn off the stove. I am going to put my spinach mixture in my bowl, and I'm going to use the same dirty pan it already had the heat off, that's fine. All right. If you really wanted to get every speck off, you could use the spatula. Your rubber spatula. And you're seeing that we're using all the equipment that we've gone over. The wooden spoon, the rubber spatula, the skillet, all sorts of stuff we've used already today. Okay, so following the recipe, it says on step 2, again, I'm gonna put it on medium. We have a gas, so you'll hear it ignite. And now we're ready for our eggs. So I did 3 eggs. I used my whisk to add air into the eggs. I need to incorporate some air into it to make it fluffy. And I'm using my mixing bowl. And then I am actually going to use, because I have the spoon rest, I'm just going to use that to put it to the side. Okay, so now, it says that we can put more coconut oil in the pan. You don't really need to because it's non-stick, but if you did, you could use your pastry brush. I wouldn't put it back in there like I caught myself. Because I use coconut oil for other things than just not for just sweet, or savory. So I don't want to get onion germs in there. Okay, so there it is. Using my heat-resistant pastry brush to kind of spread it. Again, you don't have to. I just need to put all these aside. Okay. Now, looking at that mixture, I probably should have made a few more eggs. So since I have 2 here, I'm just gonna go ahead and do them real quick. This is the way I usually would cook. It's much faster, but that's because I'm not usually demonstrating. All right, we're gonna let that cook on medium. Okay, so that will be for later. I'm just going to show you guys with this. Okay, at this point, you're going to add some cheese. Again, I don't measure. I just do it. With cooking, you don't have to be as precise. You can add flavors. I'm going to add my mint that I just did. Let me just wash my hands real quick. I got the egg. Okay, I like mint, so I'm going to use a little bit of that. You do not have to. I think it's kind of also an Egyptian thing, like Middle Eastern, we like mint. So I just do mint and stuff. Okay, and then I'm going to use my dirty spoon from the onions and the spinach to just put some in there. You're not really making an omelet, so you don't need to make it look so in the center and precise. We're just going to break up the eggs. It's kind of like a scrambled egg. And then my other egg mixture, I'll do the same thing again. We like eggs in our house. We kind of do a lot of eggs every week. So I have more dozens. Let that cook. Used to be that we could only eat, I was brought up with only eating eggs, 2 eggs a week. That is not the case now. So everything in nutrition kind of changes. Not everything, but fruits and vegetables have always been the same. I just stuck my onion bag in the trash just so I'm gonna take the trash out anyway after I do all these demonstrations. Okay, so now at this point, the eggs are looking like they're cooked. So I am going to get my tortillas ready. Now my son is waiting for his yummy breakfast. He's lucky to have me, because I love to cook. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the eggs off so they don't get overcooked. I need some kitchen shears. So this is gonna have a little bit of heat in it. So this is a bigger tortilla than this one. I think it's a 12-inch maybe. And this one is maybe an 8 or 10-inch one. So I would, obviously that's gonna have more than we need. I'm gonna put it right on the countertop, which is fine. There you go. Okay, so now the recipe says to add the eggs to the pan. If we were at school, I would be actually, add the eggs to the tortilla. I would actually have the smaller one. So this is gonna take up a lot more of the eggs, but that's fine. So it says, the directions before say continue to cook until the eggs are centered, pull away from the center, and they're thickened. So you can see that. Break up the eggs as we go, exactly. So now it says on a tray, place a piece of aluminum foil topped with a piece of parchment. Okay, That's because I was showing you guys, you were in school, I was showing you how to freeze it. So I'm gonna show you that real quick. So always go back to the recipe. I make these often, so I wasn't really looking for the steps I gave you in school. Now why parchment? Parchment is because it's heat resistant. So we want to use parchment paper. We certainly don't need that much. So we want to use parchment paper so that we can microwave it a little bit and it keeps it together. Wax paper will melt. Now look at this thing. All right. So now we've got it. All right, now that's beautiful. Okay, so now so many things are in the way, so we'll move those. Now we're just gonna take our eggs and we're gonna put it in the center. So my kids love, I would probably do 2 eggs with this. I'm imagining. My son's a big guy, so he probably would like 2 eggs in it. If you wanted to put 3, you could, but I know for myself, I don't put that much. You're just gonna center it in there, and then you're just going to wrap it like this. You can tuck it a little bit, and then you're gonna wrap the parchment paper over it, as well as the foil, and tuck it. Now, why am I doing that? Because when you get ready, and then you're just gonna crimp the sides. When you get ready to, it says, you do it just like that, and then on your baking sheet, this is what the directions say. You're gonna put it in like this. I didn't wrap it super tight, but you could wrap it tighter if you wanted to. And then what you're gonna do is you can either bake them right away, like I'm gonna do right now, or you can use your bags. Oh, it's crammed in here, the freezer bag, to put the tortillas in it. So you have it ready to go when you want to have a quick breakfast. And that's what I wrote in your directions. It says, if freezing, place the 5 burritos into Ziploc bags and freeze for up to 3 months. Okay, that's a long time. And to heat from frozen, you unwrap the foil, lay the parchment wrap burrito seam side down on a plate and microwave it. So that's pretty easy. So if you never microwave the foil, you would take it out and then just microwave it. That's awesome. All right, so I'm gonna show you how I like this size better. Those tortillas are new to me. I haven't gotten those before, but I like this. And then like I said, I'm gonna make more egg mixture because I like my tortillas to be full. But if you're doing it, let me just show you that again because you wanna make it tight. You wanna wrap it as tight as you can like that, and then you would wrap it. I think the other one I did a bit too loose. Then you'll have them ready to go, and then breakfast would be a cinch. We like to serve it with salsa, so that it kind of gives it more flavor. But that's how easy it is to make your egg burritos. All right, enjoy. That one opened up. Okay, I wanted to show you, I keep making more just to make sure I have them ready, but I wanted to show you how much I was filling it. I filled it actually much better this time, a full amount. And then I'm gonna hold the tortillas. I'm gonna push it as tight as possible, wrap my parchment paper around it, and then my foil. So that at the end, it's all wrapped tightly and it's good to go. You don't wanna have it too, not full enough because the eggs are good for you. Okay, thank you.